Okay, hello. Welcome to day 4 or lesson 4 of Can't Read the Language of Egyptian Mummies, a title that I picked up from a song by Nas featuring Damian Marley. Um, anyway, not everybody's going to recognize that, but that's where I got that. The song is called Patience. Okay, so this is a community education program, and it is the introduction to Egyptian hieroglyphs. Okay, so we spent the first 3 lessons looking at the members of the Netjer, Netjeru, which is plural for Netjer. We looked at the 2 Netjerets, Netjeret Ma'at and Netjeret Aset, and then last week we looked at Netjer Jehuti. Today we're going to look at Nasud Biti, and that Nasud Biti is Ma'at Kara. Okay, so we have these 3 panels. Let's see if we can practice our reading of Merodetya. Starting from left to right, we have Ma'at Satra, Hent, Tepihert, Taui, Iu, Gert. And then the second panel, we have Jeti Aset, Wert, Hent, Taui. And then reading from right to left on the same panel, we have Usir, Neja A. At the bottom, we didn't read this before, but we can now. This is actually D and then neck. And the third panel on the right, we have reading from right to left, top to bottom, Jehuti Sasesh, Medu, Necha, Du, Nebti Wer, Emu. Okay, so we reading the best of our ability. So we've seen this image before. This is again on the walls of the temple of Abu Simbel. This is the Nasud Binti Seti the first, showing the list of Nasud Binti to his son Ramesses II, as we will call him. All right. So we know that there is a title that goes with these Shanu, and that's what we're going to be looking at for the first moment. So the title that I've been using, Nasud Biti, is shown here. It's the sud plant from Upper Nile Valley, followed by the loaf of bread, and then we have the Egyptian bee, which is symbolized of Lower Nile Valley. Again, that's followed by the loaf of bread. And so we would say this as Nasud Biti or Sutin Biti. I usually say Nasud Biti. Okay, so last week I gave out a couple of examples of Shanus, and so let's look at these 2 that we have on the screen now. So we have Nasud Biti Men Kepa Ra, and to the right of his Shanu we see, we can make out the reed leaf, the men board, and the ripple of water, that's Amen, and then we have Ra. And beyond that we have the symbol Mary, which is translated as love. And then his Sarah name is Yehudi Mes Nefer Keper. And to the right of his Shinu, we have D, Ankh, and possibly Jed. So we can identify this as Tutmosis the Third, at least that's what they called him, Tutmosis the Third. And so we have another variation of his name. Again, we could see part of the Nasud Biti has been destroyed, but we know that that would have been Nasud Biti, and we see the Nasud Biti name is Men Kepara as before, and his Sarah name, again, part of the Sarah is missing, but we know that would have been Sarah, and that is again Jehudi Mes Keperes. So in this case, instead of Nefer Keper or Kefer Nefer, they have Keperes. That's the doorbolt, and that's transliterated with the letter S or the letter Z. And to the right of that, we don't have the full Shanu, But again, based on the chronology that I'm referring to, we can identify this one as A Keper Ka Ra. So the A symbol is right above Keper. The Ka is the two arms raised, and we have Keper. And again, we can do a little research and find that there is a Ra at the top of that Shanu. And of course, we see the owl right below that Shanu. So here are three more Shanu that I shared. From left to right, we have the solar disk at the top. We have the horizon, the sun and horizon. So that's Ka, and we know that's Ka. There's the almond hand below that, which helps us remember that's Ka. And we have the horned viper, which is transliterated with the letter F. So this is Kaf Ra. Kaf Ra is the name of the Nasubiti who built the second pyramid of Giza. He is a son of Khufu. In the center, we have the moon, a crescent moon above the Shanu, and on each side we have Uraeus. And inside we have the Shanu. In this Shanu, we have Neb Keperu Ra. Neb is the bowl, the basket without the handle, Keper, and then the three strokes below tells me that that's pluralized. So that's Keperu, Neb, Keperu Ra. And to the right, that's a symbol of a what do you call it? A canine head on a pole, and that is Earth, and so that's Earth, and we know hopefully that's Ma'at. We can see that's Ma'at. She has a feather on the head, and she's holding the Ankh on her knee, and then we have the symbol for Setept N. So together we read that as Earth Ma'at Ra, Setept in Ra. So along with the prenomen and the Sarah name, the representatives of the Nile Valley had three other names. They had a Horus name, which began with the Horus symbol. They had the Nepti name, which began with the symbol of the vulture and the cobra, symbols of the upper and lower Egypt. And then they had the golden Horus name, which is again, we have Horus in this case on a golden sitting on a throne, something of gold. I keep forgetting what that is, like a necklace of gold, I dare say. And then we have the prenomen, which is the name that we see most often, which is, in this case, is Nasubiti Neb Keperu Ra, which is the same name that we just saw on the last slide. So we know this is the same person, and their Sarah name in this case is Tut Ankh Amen Hek Anu Resu. So this is the person that we commonly call King Tut. So I include this slide to show the transliterations for these 5 names. Probably not going to go over this in class unless someone insists. But and we can see what they consider the translations. Maybe I'll do the translations. So the Horus name is translated in English as the strong bull, pleasing of birth. The Nepti name is translated as one of perfect laws, who pacifies the two lands, great of the palace of Amun, Lord of all. And the golden horse name is translated as who wears crowns and pleases the gods, ruler of truth, who pleases the gods, who wears the crown of his father, Re, Ra, who wears crowns and binds the two lands therein. And then we have the prenomen, which is translated as Lord of the forms of Ra. And then we have the Sarah name, which is translated as living image of Amun, ruler of Upper Heliopolis. Right, so this is from one of the outsides of a golden coffin that I took a picture of. It's in the Cairo Museum. I'll probably go over more of this in the class, but there are a few things in here that are worthy of note. We could definitely see the Shanu. We could see part of the Shanu on the bottom right. We could see the Kepler and the solar disk Ra, but we can see a full example of that on the far left. And so we can see that that is Neb Kepler Ra. So we know that this belongs to Neb Kepler Ra, which is a proper name for him. And at the top in the column next to that, we can see the Neb Kepler. We can't see the Ra. Then moving to the right, we can actually see the two loaves of bread surrounding the Uchik, which is the Tut, and then we see the Ankh. So that's where we get the Tut Ankh from, and the Amun would be above that. There's much more to be said about this, but we're not going to spend too much time on this right now. So this is where I'm going with this lesson. This temple is actually carved into the mountain, and you can see that, well, it's taken from, this picture is taken from a distance, and this is in an area called Da El Bari. So this is a funerary temple, and I know that because it's on the West Bank, and it is not too far from where we would find the Valley of the Kings. In fact, if you look at this picture carefully, it looks like that's a large pyramid that this temple is built into. So if you remember what the Temple of Abydos looks like, this has the same general structure, but instead of one level, this is three levels. And it is quite a remarkable temple. And because it's in the desert on the West Bank, some of the images are still quite remarkable in terms of retaining their color. So here's what I mean by the retention of color. I mean, we can see very clearly the colors that were used in creating this, and this is again, this temple was built during the 18th dynasty, which is quite a few thousand years ago. And this is the woman for whom this temple was constructed, or it was built during her lifetime or during her time as ruling the upper and lower Nile Valley. And we will find her name. Some of you probably already know her name. There weren't too many females who took on the title of Nasut Biti. This is one. So this statue is actually located in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I took pictures from several different angles. So here's another angle, and we could kind of tell that this is a woman. I hope you can tell this is a woman. There's some cases where they show her with a beard. This is not one of these. Actually, they show her with a false beard. Let me say that. And we can identify who this is because her name is written next to her legs, and that's really our goal today, to read the name of this female Nasut Biti. So as I indicated earlier, it is only the rulers or the representatives of Upper and Lower Nile Valley who had their names written inside of a Shanu. And I could talk a little bit more about Shanus at some point, but Shanus are simply symbols of eternity. And so their names lived on in eternity, or should live on in eternity. They have been around for quite a long time already. So I'm going to actually allow you guys to work on these for a while on your own, and then we'll go over it together. Okay, so the handout that I'm giving out will have removed the legs and made it, hopefully, the images larger for you to work with. So we're going to transliterate and then hopefully read what we see and identify who this Nasut Biti is. So this is going to be the last image for this class, and we will probably look at, depending on the time frame, how much time we have, how many of these symbols we're going to really focus on. But definitely we want to focus on the two Shanu. So we see on the right leg, to the right of the right leg, we see that this is Ma'at Ka Ra, and that would be the Nasudbiti name, even though it's not lead, the symbol in front is not Nasudbiti. We would talk more about that. But then we see the Sara name, it does have the Sara in front of it. And the Sara name is Hat Shepis, Amin Hat Shepis Sut. And what do we call her? Hatshepsut. That's what we do. All right, well, that's the end of this lesson, and lesson 5 next.